welcome to the official YouTube channel for me, the Colin Cowherd Podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of our football content this postseason. Going to have instant reactions after every big game. Thanks.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Did I interrupt where you were going with it? I just
No,
thought
go,
about the
no,
quarterback.
please.
Okay.
We edit, do anything you
So
want.
let's, after this year, take this year out of it. This group of quarterbacks, the Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, that group, they're all 28, 29. Let's say, optimistically, they all have 10 more good years. That's probably on the high end, but let's give them a decade. 10 more seasons, the 2025 season onward. Man, at least one of those guys is never making, much less winning a Super Bowl, like moving forward. So I know Joe's already made one. Because here's the way I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, because everyone's like, do you think Josh will eventually get one? And intellectually, I'm like, yes, of course. He's the second best player in the league. Of course he'll get one. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay, so in the next 10 years, let's say Patrick slows down. He only makes 4 of the next
Or Andy
10.
Andy Reid retires.
Yeah, so let's just say let's say Patrick only makes 4 of the next 10. So there's 6. So that's 6 for Lamar, Josh, Joe. I know you've got Justin Herbert getting to one eventually. Bo Nix, CJ Stroud. And we're talking about 10 years. So there's a whole couple more generations coming into the league. Like these guys, all of these guys being in the AFC is devastating for the resumes they're trying to build.
Well, and the one that's in trouble is Joe Burrow. The Bengals had to sell naming rights to the stadium to pay his contract. People don't understand this. The gentleman who, first of all, the Bengals don't have any money. Right. They don't have any money. It's just like the poorest ownership group. Joe Burrow knows it. They had to sell naming rights to a stadium to pay him. They started peeling off players even before they paid Jamar Chase. They're peeling off of them now.
Well, yeah, they haven't paid Jamar yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're already peeling off players. They are the opposite of the Eagles. They are anti-risk and reward. They take no risks. Tobin, the general manager, has been there forever. Pleasant, very nice guy. Got no power. I mean, the Brown family runs the organization. They are essentially a AAA operation in Major League Baseball that happens to have Joe Burrow. People make fun of the Raiders. The Raiders, because of some new ownership groups that have come in, are flush with cash. That's why they can pay 4 coaches and 3 general managers. They got nothing but money. Mark Davis has nothing but money, and the Raiders are a brand. And also it's Las Vegas. It's a growing city. There's real money there. No state tax. Very attractive place. Cincinnati, they got no money. Burrow, they'll never have a stacked roster. The only time to really be great with him was when he was on the rookie contract. When they pay Jamar Chase, they're out of money. Like Joe Burrow, I feel terrible for him. Joe Burrow would need to be superhuman. I mean, this year, he was as good as he's ever been. They couldn't make the playoffs. Herbert's going to get better with Harbaugh. Like, that's going to only get better.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're just...
Herbert, I think Burrow's the one in trouble.
And here's the other concern for all those guys. Will they, maybe different for Joe because he's done it, but will those guys be able to play Patrick Mahomes, beat him, which is part of the hypothetical, and then psychologically be able to recenter and be like, that wasn't the Super Bowl? Not like we like, that's the thing that I would worry about for the Bills. I do think, listen, Mahomes is not going to go undefeated against Allen in his career in the playoffs. They will win. But man, if next year the Bills finally beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, it's going to be really hard to psychologically then reset and be like, actually, the next game's the tougher, bigger one. And so that's, I can't remember a time when it felt this disproportionate in quarterbacking talent conference to conference and what it's going to mean for these guys' kind of legacies when it comes to who they were as far as winning players or winning championships.
Everyone loves a good MVP story, and the story of Wasabi Technologies is one of the best. It's a purpose-built company to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware. Wasabi has taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi's up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com. Wasabi hot. I love experimenting on podcasting. I like talking about stuff, where stuff is going and where it's headed. What I find interesting about where sports is going. So I think we both like this. So I grew up a baseball fan, but the sport, it's like what Democrats name, like Bill Maher will say, the Democratic Party is leaving me. I haven't changed. I was a baseball guy over a football guy when I was a kid. And then the sport just got slow and ponderous, and football was just better on television, and I've lived through TV. Like, that's my life as a kid. I'm going to throw something at you that I think is going to happen, is that I think if you take out the NFL, that every other sport is dependent on where the best players play. And it does not help. For instance, college football got 2 Southern and 2 regional. Alabama, Georgia, Clemson. It hurt the sport. Michigan and Ohio State's emergence will help the sport over time. It will bring a big group. I'm a West Coast guy. I was a Big Ten Pac-12 guy because of the Rose Bowl. So I'm more of a Big Ten guy than an SEC guy, although I can acknowledge the SEC is great. I think we're going to have a change here in the next 5 to 10 years in sports. And that is when the regional sports networks went away and Fox let them go. They were out of money an hour later. And those were vital to Pittsburgh's, Cincinnati, Oakland, Kansas City, Seattle. They were vital.
Sure.
The sport now is basically in the hands of the Dodgers, Steve Cohen, and I mean, I'm not sure the Yankees and the Steinbrenners can compete. Steinbrenners are saying they can't. What you're seeing now in baseball is all the riveting players play for the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets, or the Yankees. And I think we're going to have a renaissance in baseball, is that with these regional networks gone, there's not even forget the fake appearance that there's parity. There are like 4 kings at the top. Everything else is a pawn. Nothing else.
And you think that's good for the sport?
No. What I think it's good for is the primary weakness of baseball. It's television ratings. The attendance is fine. It's always dominated the summer. It has died on television. Last year's National League playoffs, it was like New York, LA, San Diego, and 8 of the best 13 players in the sport. And that we always think parity matters. No, it doesn't. The truth of the matter is, if the Celtics, Chicago Bulls, and the Lakers were great right now, the NBA would be in great shape. Oklahoma City is not good for the league. There is this belief. This is what I always say about Kansas City. Dynasties aren't bad. Great players on great brands are not bad for the league. I think we're going to have a renaissance. I think the Dodgers, Steve Cohen and the Mets, the Yankees, and maybe one other team will not be able to afford the best players. That's it. Philadelphia, maybe Phillies, because their attendance and their merchandising is so strong. I don't know about their TV radio deals locally. Is that I think baseball has something the NBA doesn't. All their fascinating players. I mean, if I told you this, the 6 big TV products they have: Ohtani, Judge, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts,
it's all
Manny
the same.
Machado, they're all in these big, glossy, favorable markets. There's my take, is that we're going to have a renaissance, that baseball is going to come storming back. It did in the postseason.
So I think this year is the most important year baseball's had in a very, very long time because of 2 things. And you kind of alluded to both of them. One is the momentum of last postseason, which is absolutely tremendous. And the other is the general angst and annoyance by the average fan towards the NBA.
Yeah.
I think that it is incumbent upon baseball to, and I don't have I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this, so I don't even know exactly what I mean by this, but to seize this moment, because I agree with you. I mean, we did our show from the World Series. Now, that's because it was in New York, so it was easy to get to, but also because we were all so into it.
It was great.
It felt like such a cool event, and it was so lively and active, and it made me remember when I first started. It was shortly after when you first started. It was before I even had a show. We were doing our shows from the NBA Finals, even though they were not in LA. It was Warriors, Cavs every year. And we traveled to Cleveland to do our shows because it was such an event that I think baseball. So I was talking to a mutual friend of ours. I don't think he'll mind me saying this, so I'll quote him on it. Our friend Maverick. And he said that the media is moving towards an events model where things have to feel like an event. And it's why, even though Mike Tyson's 60 years old and could barely get to the ring, that was huge. It felt, and the NFL, every game feels like an event. You'll have
the college football playoff. It
college
felt
football
big.
playoff is exactly
UFC feels big.
Is an event. And so that's really, really hard for baseball. So you know what? Because there's so many games. So finding ways, maybe it is via marketing their stars, to pick these benchmarks that are their events of the year or marquee matchups or games.
This is where Fox gets credit. They're the one that came up with the London game, the game in the cornfield. So
the Field of Dreams game, 100%. That felt big. That's an event. Like something cool like that makes it stand out from the noise of everything else. That's right.
Yeah, no, that was Fox. Fox management came and said, you guys need more big events. And they work, by the way. I watched the London games. They were cool. It felt special.
The Field of Dreams game is cool every year. It's just awesome. It looks cool. It's great.
Yeah, no, I think Maverick Carter's right on that. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think you have to, it's easy to root for the Dodgers or the Chiefs. Like I have the Dodgers on throughout the summer in Los Angeles. Every other guy that comes to the bat is an all-star. It's like an all-star game. I mean, seriously, you get down to like Teoscar Hernandez is batting 5th, and you're like, Jesus, he just dominated the series in the Bronx. Like, everybody's great. The whole damn team is great. Like, I mean, they've got Tommy Edman batting 8th. He was like the NLCS MVP. You're like, it's an all-star team. So, and like the Chiefs, it's easy.